Luciano Zaccara. He joins us live now from Doha. He's an associate professor at the Center for Gulf Studies at Qatar University. Professor, thank you so much for being with us on the program. So what are your thoughts on this expected exchange now? It seems like it's going to be a lot different from what we've seen happen over the last couple of weeks.
Well, it seems that both complaints from both sides, on the other hand, that they were not, or they were violating the agreement, drove them to have a more serious commitment in order to have a smooth exchange of prisoners and hostages. As far as I know, what I understood is that Egypt will be involved also to some extent in this exchange, supervising the release of the hostages from Hamas, meaning that there are reassurances that this process will be smoother than the previous one. So therefore, we can finalize this phase one without new delays, as it has been happening until now. It's interesting also that the special envoy of the U.S. to the region has delayed his visit to the region in order to allow this last exchange of the first phase to take place. So we have a more or less a better picture about how is the situation right now and how we move to a second phase without any disruption, at least in the short term.
Right, but we haven't heard any developments on those negotiations regarding phase two from officials on either side. What are some of the expected major hurdles moving into phase two?
Well, we still don't know exactly if the meetings will take place here in Doha or in Cairo. We don't know which will be the mandate of the delegation, the Israeli delegation will have during these meetings. What is going to be decided, if we are going to move according to the roadmap that was agreed some time ago, or that they will consider the delays that they have been until now. And they consider also this proposal that Hamas made a couple of weeks ago about releasing all the hostages the remaining hostages at the same time. We have a lot of uncertainties in between, considering that the U.S. is also changing some policies at the global level. We have to bear in mind that what happened yesterday in the United Nations Security Council, how the United States is aligning more or less with Russia in the Ukraine crisis, can promote or can provoke some changes in how the United States perceiving this conflict, and how Russia is also perceiving this conflict, or how they will react in case there is another resolution to be discussed in the Security Council.
I'm glad you mentioned the United States, because as we know, Donald Trump had voiced very big changes for the Gaza Strip, ones that were condemned by world leaders. And of course, there's this much anticipated meeting that's expected to take place next week among the Arab League. And they're expected to discuss this now peace plan that has been written up by Egypt. Will that have an impact on phase two, or the rest of the ceasefire for that matter, given that they're expected to discuss very important topics such as the rebuilding of Gaza and, of course, more importantly, who will govern the Gaza Strip moving forward?
Well, this is the big question that nobody is able to answer right now. We have heard that from the opposition in Israel. They were also suggesting that Egypt should take care of the Gaza Strip for 8 to 15 years in order to rebuild the Gaza Strip, something that Egypt already declined. So we still have few proposals that they are coming only from the American or Israeli side. But we haven't heard specifically how is the proposal from Egypt. Of course, we know that it's within the framework of the two states in Palestine and Israel. But so far, we don't know the details in terms of who is going to pay for that and who is going to run the Gaza Strip. We know, or more or less, it has been said that Hamas would be willing to leave the power in the Gaza Strip in order to make some concessions. But of course, they will not surrender their arms, and they will not surrender the resistance. So if this is something that is negotiable and acceptable for both Israel and the United States, we can think about a future government in Gaza that is made by people inside the Strip. What is totally unlikely to happen is that the people in Gaza would accept a ruling government that is not from the region, that is not coming from inside, but is coming from either other Arab state or from an international coalition controlled by Israel. We have to always remember that nothing happened in West Bank and Gaza if Israel doesn't want to happen. So we need Israel to be in the table of negotiation, and we need Israel to make some concessions in order to see what is the future of Gaza.
Okay, Professor Luciano Zaccara, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight with us.